Hello, this is Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 31. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman.
Yo.
And Alexis Schlegel.
Hey.
Yeah, we're just like hanging out, being bros. I'm not sure if you can hear this, but in the background, like we record in a basement, and you can hear right now, like my girlfriend's upstairs. We just got a Terminator 2 arcade machine. And you can kind of like hear the machine gun going off. Like it sounds like we're in a bunker or something down here, but we're not sure if the microphones are picking it up.
And then you hear Schwarzenegger yelling every so often.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's always been a dream of mine. I've always said if I could own one arcade machine, that would be the one. And we actually found one. Somebody was selling one in like Pennsylvania for like $400. So like we're recording on Sunday. Like me and a buddy who's got a really large SUV. Went up to Pennsylvania. It was like a 4-hour drive, and then we left at like 9 a.m. and then we picked it up, and we actually stopped at the mall where the movie Dawn of the Dead was filmed, and I believe it was
like the original though, right?
Yeah, the original Dawn of the Dead, and I believe it was 1977, and it's called Monroeville Mall, and I mean that's like almost 40 years ago. I think it's like 37 years ago. Something like that. So the mall's like, totally changed. It's very hard to recognize, that as being the mall. Even though I've seen that movie hundreds of times, it's like hands down one of my favorites. I'd attribute it to the movie that got me into zombie movies, period. After I saw that, I just wanted to see every zombie movie that I could get my hands on. So, yeah, we made it there, and apparently there used to be a museum inside the mall that had like a Dawn of the Dead museum. But I guess it didn't do too well, so that moved out. So, we just grabbed some Mexican food at the food court, some piss poor Mexican food. But at any rate, it was cool to make it out to the Monroeville Mall.
That's pretty
Such
dope.
a legendary site,
Yeah.
It's just great to be able to say that you were there at that mall.
Yeah.
But so that was part of my weekend, and then last night I had some friends over, and we were watching, staying on the subject of zombies. It was Halloween, and we were watching the premiere of Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Now, where was that like a made-for-TV thing, or?
Yeah, it's on the Stars channel.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like it's an Evil Dead TV show. And it takes place.
It's a TV show.
Yeah, it takes place in like modern day.
Does it have Bruce Campbell?
Yes, Bruce Campbell's in it, and
awesome.
he's like 30 pounds later.
Yeah.
And but he's awesome. He's witty as ever. He's as big of an asshole as ever. And he's kicking as much ass as ever. And it basically it starts out like he's basically he's getting blazed with this chick. And the chick's talking about poetry, and he's like, "Oh, but check out this poetry, baby!" And then he pulls out the Necronomicon, and he's like, "Inked in blood." And then he starts reading and you can tell they're both like really blazed. And he starts reading like excerpts from it, and she starts repeating them. And then 30 years later, like he brings back the Evil Dead, basically. So, that's like the setup for the entire show.
That's hilarious.
And he's also got some pretty awesome supporting characters. There's some Hispanic dude. I think his name was like Paco or something like that. But
something really stereotypical.
Yeah, something stereotypical. And then there's also Lucy Lawless is on there from Xena.
Yeah, really?
Which was another Sam Raimi directed show back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's pretty badass. I got to say there was a lot of gore and a lot of humor. And
wait, did Raimi do Hercules too?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He did. And then Bruce Campbell was also in a show that he did. It was called Jack of All Trades, and this was only on for like a year. And if you like Bruce Campbell, I'd say it's totally worth picking up. Like I have it on DVD. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I remember, it's basically it takes place in like around like the beginning of America. Short like when we're a very young country and Jefferson's president, and Bruce Campbell's like a spy who's like going over to France. And Napoleon is played, I believe, by the midget from Austin Powers. And like when he fights, he flies through the air with a sword. It's so hilarious. But yeah, man, Campbell's been in a whole bunch of shit. And then there's of course the sci-fi western Briscoe County Jr.
He was on that show Burn Notice too.
You
That show
know,
still might be on.
I tried watching an episode or two of that. It just didn't catch me, but I've heard good things about
Yeah,
it.
it's decent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of status, but it's cool.
Yeah, man. It's so. So what'd you do for Halloween?
I went to a party in Annapolis. Got pretty fucked up. Had a good time.
Alexis?
Same. Went to handed out candy to the kids. And just went to a party as well. It was
Didn't you say you were like hanging out with another chick, dude?
yeah, it was a good time. It was a good
So
time.
like, what happened to the other chick, the girl we were talking about last time? Was she the status chick who thought the libertarians were like a cult when you told her about Porkfest?
Oh yeah, it's hard to keep track of all these like status girls I've dated. No, I don't know.
Didn't work out.
No, totally different. Totally different. This girl's actually pretty cool. She's from Texas, so she gets it to a point. So yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And then just like the people there. It was like a wide variety of people, so I don't know. The politics did come up a little bit.
Where was it again?
It was like in Hampton,
Okay.
kind of like
With the hipsters?
yeah,
with
yeah.
the
Well,
hipsters.
I don't know, but yeah, it was just a good time. It was a good Halloween party. That's about it.
Cool.
Good times. Bonfire. It was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, there was this like epic. This one couple. They dressed up like Hall & Oates. It was pretty money.
Nice.
And then
What were you, man?
I went as Bob Ross. I was
Nice.
painting happy trees and clouds and
Dude, I was Joe Dirt.
nice.
It was awesome.
Nice. What was that? How'd you pull that off?
I just bought like a $20 fucking mullet wig from Party City or whatever.
Nice.
And then wore a wife beater under a flannel.
Nice.
It was pretty easy, but dude, everyone loved it. It
Nice.
was the easiest
Did you have a
costume
mop?
ever. Huh?
Did you have a mop? Did you bring like?
Oh, dude, I should have.
Did you bring it? Did you have any props? No.
I didn't have any props. I got props, but
Yeah. Yeah, mine was pretty last minute too.
what were you, Matt?
For Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really dress up, dude.
Oh, really?
Dude on the couch.
Just blaze dude on the couch.
Yeah, I usually like to say that I'm people like to where like characters that would just dress in plain clothes. Like sometimes I'll go to parties and say I'm a sex offender, or I'm a Holocaust denier, or you know what I mean? just make up things,
That's fun.
But yeah, I didn't have a good one for this year. I was just whatever, I was just chilling on the couch. I had to work, and then came home and chill with some people watching Ash.
yeah.
But yeah, it was totally awesome, man. It was fun times, passing out candy to the kids. There's a lot of trick or treaters in this neighborhood.
How much Molly did you pass out?
None. Yeah, that's another like hysterical thing. It's like the warning, like, oh, your kids could be given candy with drugs in it.
Yeah.
It's yeah, right, dude. What a fucking bullshit status lie to like make you think that you need like police officers on like Halloween.
Like investigating candy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's dude. Who is gonna waste good drugs by just giving them out in candy to little kids?
Yeah.
It's never happened. There's never been a case of it.
No.
And if it did happen, how would you really prevent it? Do you want to just like do you want to just end Halloween?
No.
Yeah, it's basically it's
I mean,
ridiculous.
life comes with risks, man.
Yeah, I actually
I think parents should maybe look through their kids' candy just to see if there's anything weird in there. But
I'm not sure if it's ever really happened though.
Yeah.
I from what I've heard, all that shit is like urban legend.
yeah. I remember they used to have someone about like putting like razors and
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I think it's all bullshit.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, yeah, it's pretty hilarious. It's just like urban legend and you look at like how many people were affected by it. I know my parents were looking at my candy when I was a kid.
Yeah,
But
but the
I
worst
mean-
thing is it's not. It's like not
I'd
just,
still eat a bunch of it before I got home,
Right, of course.
Because I mean, I eat so much that night, and then I knew like my parents were gonna try to ration out the rest over a
Yeah.
period of time.
It's
Yeah.
kind of a it relates to the whole candy and parents, and it might it'll segue into your story with the neighbors, like the note you got. But basically, I don't know what town, or I was listening to talk radio driving home yesterday, and basically like this parent in neighborhood, their kid has allergies, or like all the like gluten and peanut and all like pretty much every allergy under the sun.
Yeah,
And so they sent a letter to everybody in the neighborhood, basically like, well, my kid can't participate and please, like, here's a list of candy that my kid or candy or here's some snack suggestions to give. It's like,
What the fuck? Just feed your own kid, like
right. Just when your kid gets home, just go through their shit to make sure, like, oh no, sorry, buddy, you can't have this Butterfinger, or you'll, like, I don't know.
Explode.
Whatever the case may be, but, like, what are the expectations for, that you have to change your behavior or change because of others, like.
Yeah, I mean, this is only, like, something I've never heard of that before. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember having that experience when I was a kid, like, having, like, fellow trick-or-treaters saying, like, oh, I can't have fucking gluten in my in my fucking Hershey bar, But yeah, I mean, if you have a peanut allergy, it was always, like, assumed, like, there's certain things you're not going to be able to do, and trick-or-treating might be one of them, or you just trick-or-treat and give the candy to your friend or whatever, but yeah, it's that whole kind of someone's coming down the stairs. So yeah, do you want to get into that altercation with your neighbor or whatever?
Okay, so I get home from work on, I believe it was Friday. Yeah, Friday. And there's a note on my mailbox. It's actually, there's a bag of candy, like a sandwich bag full of candy, and then with a note inside of it. And it says, "Hello, it's me, the bitch next door." And my kids are stepping in dog poop in your front yard. So if you could clean up the dog poop in your front yard that's near the sidewalk, because they're tracking it in my house, and I've told them not to walk in your yard, but they're kids. So yeah, if you could just clean that up, and she's, like, polite in the note, and then you look in the bag too. She's also got like a little roll of, like, bags, so we have something to, like, put the poop in.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought she just had a bag of shit and there was, like, a note there.
No, there's candy in there, and the note begins with "Happy Halloween."
Oh, okay.
But anyways, so I mean, but I'm just blown away by this note, because, like, I mean, it's I can remember when I was a kid. It's like, I'd be walking down the street and there'd be old people, like, looking out the window, right? They were waiting for you to put, like, 1 foot in their yard, and they would run outside the door, like, just yelling at you, "Get out of my yard,"
Right.
And it's like, and it's always understood. You can't go in other people's yard, that's, like, trespassing, property rights. It's just basic. Everybody understood it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was like this happened, and I was just calling up a bunch of people, and I'm like, because I wanted to make sure that maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. I want to make sure that I'm not the asshole here, And so, like, I call up people. I call up my buddy Ron, and he's like, he was like, yeah, I saw a meme the other day on Facebook, and it's like, 30 years ago, the first picture, and it's like parent-teacher conference. And, the teacher's saying the child's doing bad, the parents are scolding the child, right?
Right.
And then the other picture on the meme is like, parent-teacher conference today. The teacher says the child's doing bad, the parents are yelling at the teacher.
Right.
It's basically, there's like no responsibility. So it's like, this lady's yelling at me because her kids aren't obeying her,
Right.
And then,
I mean,
the other thing I got to say is, dude, it's not like we're like the dog shit yard. Because, like, we just moved into this neighborhood, and we do want to make a good impression, So, like, we went out and cleaned up the dog shit, and it turns out there's a total of 3 turds in the entire front yard.
Yeah, so it's not like you're
it's
like...
not like we're the dog shit yard, and there's 50 turds, and we've never cleaned them up.
It's not like there's a compost heap of dog shit in your front yard.
Yeah, exactly. We were keeping up on them. We weren't following, we weren't trailing the dog by 2 feet and picking up every turd right after it dropped, But, I mean, we were cleaning it up every day or two,
Yeah, yeah.
And, I mean,
Dude, bottom line, it's your fucking yard.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's what I initially... that was my initial thought.
It's one thing if it's like there's piles of shit and it's like invisible from the street, like it's like stinking up the neighborhood, then you're kind of like affecting other people's property. But if it's just like a few turds in your yard, I mean, no one, like you said, like no one really has the right to walk on your yard. I mean, you're not going to go out and yell at somebody for walking on their yard, but in return, you expect that If they walk on your yard and happen to step in the single turd that's out there, then that's their fucking problem.
Yeah, like at first I looked at the note and I just saw like dog poop, and I was like, whoa, my dog never shat in anybody's yard.
Yeah.
Because I've got my dog on a leash, and I never like would let her shit in somebody else's yard.
Right.
And another thing I want to say is, I do see people walking up my street all the time with their dogs, and I know their dogs are shitting in their neighbors' yards. And personally, like, I'm not the kind of person who's going to do that. I'm going to just let my dog shit in my yard.
Yeah. Well, that's what a courteous person would do.
Yeah. So, and furthermore, one of those turds that's so close to the sidewalk where her kids walk could have been left by somebody else's dog.
Right.
They weren't necessarily, they didn't necessarily come out of my dog's hind, So
your dog's beehole.
Assuming,
assuming
that you're responsible when it might
well,
not be.
Well, she's saying you're responsible because it's your yard, but I don't agree with that. I mean,
no,
yes, you're responsible for like maintaining your yard in the sense, like you shouldn't have like fucking like weeds like shooting up out of your property, and I think someone might have the right to bitch about that. Although it is still your yard, or unless you have like a homeowners association that you have to like maintain that shit, which you probably don't have that around here.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine if the grass gets really tall and you start having rats running out of it, I mean, that's one thing. But it's like, no, I mean, our grass is like extremely short. The lawn is well manicured, It's a well-maintained frontage. So
Listen to you there, HDTV.
So I mean, like I said,
it's got curb appeal.
There's 3 turds in the entire yard, and it's
your turn to yard ratio is phenomenal.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. And it's so hard for me to not just go over there and be like, "Look, bitch."
Did she actually write the bitch next door on there, or is that
no? She left her name on there.
Oh, okay.
She left her name, and to top it off, like this lady's like extremely shy, it's basically like, and she's left 2 notes so far. Okay, the first one was a note with like a flower that she bought us from somewhere, and it was like just to like decorate things or something. It was a nice thing. It was like, "Hi, welcome to the neighborhood. It's so and so." But prior to that, like every time we saw this lady, like she just wouldn't look at us because she's incredibly shy.
Okay.
And it seems to me like she came at us and it was very passive aggressive. It was like the nicest way she could possibly come from this, but it's it's an unrealistic expectation, I think, to for it to have somebody pick up turds in their front yard. So when your kids trespass, they don't track them back in your house. It's I mean, and
it's not like you have a lack of sidewalks here either.
Dude, I gotta say, like, if growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, like I said, there was a lot of old people yelling as soon as you stepped in their yard. It's like they were waiting by the window to yell at kids because that was going to be the only human interaction that they were going to have during the day. And it's like, dude, I'm pretty fucking cool. If I saw kids running my yard, I wouldn't be like, "Hey, kids, get out of my yard," Yeah. I don't give a shit. But at the same time, if you step in a turd, that's on you.
Literally on you.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and then another thing she said in the note was like, my kids and some of the neighbors' kids. So apparently some of the neighbors' kids stepped in Duke too. And furthermore, who even knows if it happened in my yard? Because she has a dog and the neighbors have a dog too. And a bunch of other neighbors have dogs. So the kids could have stepped in these turds anywhere. And I mean, but apparently it's assumed,
not all turds, man. # not all turds.
It's assumed that it was in my yard.
Yeah.
And if it was, your kid shouldn't be in my fucking yard.
Right. I mean, maybe she was just kind of picking on you because you're new to the neighborhood.
Well, and she also like, well, I told him not to walk I told him not to walk in your yard, but they're kids. Okay, it's like, fuck you, lady. Okay, so your kids don't obey you, so I have to obey you. It's like, how is this a solution to all your problems? Furthermore, you're a stay-at-home mom who like, not to rag on stay-at-home moms, but I mean, she's got a lot of time on her hands. She could probably just come over with the pooper scooper and take care of herself if it bothers her that much. Yeah. I gotta say, if I had 10 kids and they were tracking in poop from the neighbor's yard, dude, I would never go over there. I would be ashamed to go over there and say something like this. I just feel like this is just so insane. Yeah. And that's why, like, I brought it up to so many friends just to make sure that
you're not crazy.
Yeah, that I'm not crazy, that I'm not fucking insane. And I mean, I don't know. It just
I
seems
think you're
fucking
spot on,
ridiculous. But like at the same time, I don't want to like. I'm not gonna go up and I've really been biting my tongue, because I really don't want to say anything mean. First impressions are very important, of course, and it's annoying to me to know that she's already talking to the neighbors about this. And it's like, really, is this really the most you have to talk about? Is like
Bunch of
fucking dog
busybodies.
shit?
Invite
This is your topical discussion.
You should invite them over for dinner.
And serve them dog shit.
Oh man,
Fucking Hannibal, that shit.
yeah. When I got home today, it's like my girlfriend Jill said she threw away the letter, and I was so pissed because like seriously, I wanted to frame that letter because the letter's so fucking ridiculous.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing.
Yes, it is.
All right, well, I guess we can talk about some news items. So a surveillance blimp in Maryland got loose. I think that was last weekend, or maybe it was like middle of the week.
No, it was on Wednesday.
Was it
I
Wednesday?
think it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
Let me pull up the article.
So it got loose, and then floated away. They couldn't find it, and it finally crash landed somewhere in Pennsylvania. And this was the those blimps that had been like flying basically over Maryland, like mainly like Baltimore area, I think.
Yeah. We actually posted. Actually, I wrote an article about it on PRL earlier this year. It's basically it was hanging up, and I believe in Harford County.
Okay.
And it's basically a lot of people were speculating that it was a surveillance blimp, but the official story is that it is a blimp that's supposed to be able to detect missiles coming to the U.S. or something.
Yeah, it's basically it's on the Aberdeen Proving Ground, which is a testing. So it's still in like the test phase. I think since there's two of them, and they have like thousands of feet of cable, and they're at different heights, and so basically it broke loose of its cable and basically ended up in like upstate Pennsylvania.
And wasn't it like as the cable was like dragging beneath it, it was like just
like
destroying shit?
Yeah, it was like 6,000 over almost 7,000 foot long cable.
Dude,
like,
so
dragging
it was like
behind
fucking
it, took
shit
out
up?
power lines. People lost power.
Wow, dude.
They scrambled two F-16s to track it.
I wonder if their state's going to be held accountable for that, or are they going to say this is an act of God? Because in statism, the state is God, correct?
Well, they might hold the contractor because it's still in like testing phase. It's through like Raytheon, and basically, like you were saying, Matt, it's basically it's been well documented about this that
we got the documents.
we got the documents.
Shit, dude. Finally, Alex is back with the documents.
Alexis.
They spent about $2.9 billion on this project, and it's not even operational. It's still in test phase. So $2.9 billion
dollars missiles from
basically
somewhere.
low altitude. It's basically going to track like cruise missiles or drones or anything at like low altitude to protect basically Washington D.C. and like the Atlantic. So, and I guess it was like it's been under scrutiny by Congress just because like I guess a couple months ago someone landed a drone or like a gyrocopter on like the White House lawn, and this plane was it's called J-Lens system was unable. These blimps were unable to track it. So I mean, it's been basically like a total waste of taxpayer dollars. It's not even operational. And when they write about it, they talk about, oh, it's critical to our defense. Well, it's not even operational. It's still being tested. So it's like, yeah. And so this thing broke loose from its cable, and so hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, this whole project shit can, and maybe we could save, I don't know, instead of wasting billions more on something else. But I'm sure. The military-industrial complex will come up with something to waste our money on, but anyway.
So there was nothing surveillance-related about either of these blimps?
Well, basically, they're basically were being tested, but there was always, individuals thinking, and people skeptical, like, well, maybe they're using it for...
you can actually look up the article that I wrote if you look up blimp on PRL. And there actually was a lady interviewed who apparently had some information that it was about surveillance. So, or basically, I mean, you kind of have to read between the lines a little bit, I think. But you know, like I said, I mean, this is an article I wrote like way earlier this year, and I've smoked a lot of herbs since then. So, you know,
It's not fresh.
I did not bring the documents on this one.
It's not fresh. All right. Did you guys watch the GOP debate?
Did you?
No.
Okay. Alexis, you did not?
I don't know what I was doing, but I was probably doing something slightly more productive than watching that. But
I
Matt,
was-
you can regale us.
Like,
I was kind of like half-ass watching it, and you know, the things that I would have to say about it. I think at one point, I believe it was either Donald Trump or Jeb Bush or one of those fuckers. So they brought up like, see, the Democratic debate was nothing like this. We're calm and reserved and talking about the issues, and they're fighting back and forth. And it's like, no. I mean, dude, the whole thing about the Democratic debate, like everybody was saying the next day. And, you know, I'm not giving the Democrats any more credit than the Republicans. I think they're both equally swine, you know. But one thing I would say about the Democratic debate was in comparison to the Republican debates prior, you know, they definitely, they definitely weren't slinging as much mud. You know, they weren't really going after each other as much. They were more talking about issues. You know,
Right.
Like it was more of a discussion, and I kind of think they went into it with that strategy. And I think a lot of people were saying that after the Democratic debate, comparing it to the Republican debate. So, and I think it was probably pointed out to the red team. So then, you know, this time they were all trying to be a little bit more cordial. And you know, and then they're going to try to throw it back at the Democrats, and it's like, you know, that's not the way the Democratic debate went, you
Right.
know? So yeah, I thought that was pretty ridiculous. And you know,
Wasn't there a whole thing about they were saying like the CNBC, what do they call them? Like the the person leading the debate.
Yeah, CNBC, they gave them too hard questions. Boo hoo hoo.
Is that what it was? Is that what they were bitching about?
Yeah, they were saying the questions were too hard, or you know. I definitely think, you know, the CNBC and, you know, pretty much every station besides Fox who pretty much has a liberal bias, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, Fox has a neocon bias.
Right.
You know, and those liberal stations are, you know, rooting for the status quo, which is Hillary, of course, you know. And but, you know, another disappointment for about the debate to me was Rand Paul, you know. I mean, he looks like he doesn't even want to be there. He looks like disinterested. It's basically like he just doesn't have that fire that his dad has,
Right.
you know. And once again, I think he's trying to like it seems like he's trying to like appeal to like fucking, you know, like Republicans and shit. Whereas like Ron, like he was a fucking rock star candidate, you know. It's really like, you know, Rand, I feel like he's just trying to make it bland, like, you know, like that's going to make him do better. But that's obviously not working, man.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you can look at donation numbers and shit, you know. I think it's Ron's, you know, consistent message and willingness to, you know, say truths that will piss people off that, you know, enabled him to do as well as he did. So.
Right. Like,
yeah.
I mean, because that's. I mean, it's sort of the same thing as to the same reason behind Trump's popularity is the same reason behind Ron's popularity, except that Trump is spewing bullshit, whereas Ron was spewing truth. So like they're both saying what they believe to be true, or what some people believe to be true, but Ron Paul's actually saying what is true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Trump's popularity, you know, proves that the masses are in fact asses. You know,
Well, that is true. I'm
I
just
mean,
saying. I'm just making the point about the type of candidate, like you
Dude.
said, the rock star candidate.
dude, it's embarrassing for me to admit the number of people that I run into on a daily basis who talk about Trump and say, "Oh yeah, he's saying what everybody's thinking." You know, it's basically, wow, that's scary. You know?
Yeah,
And
I
you
hope
know,
you're wrong about that.
And that's like, you know, a couple debates back, I thought it was awesome when Rand Paul did say something that was awesome. He said, you know, in reference to Donald Trump, he's like, "Is this the guy who we really want his fingers on the nukes?"
Right.
You know, and it's like, I think anybody should, you know, think about that and just be horrified.
Yeah, that is pretty terrifying.
Yep.
Any other comments on the debate?
No, I mean that's about it. Apparently, they made the debate shorter, so that was pretty interesting.
They're not like these 3-hour long marathons anymore.
Yeah, like apparently Trump didn't want to stand up and talk for 3 hours. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous, you know. It's why wouldn't you want to be here for 3 hours? Of course, well, if you're the leading candidate, Donald Trump.
So he got to decide that it wouldn't be 3 hours because what was he not going to participate?
No, apparently him and Carson were complaining that the debates were too long. So, and oddly enough, they're also the candidates that are, you know, leading in the polls. So, of course, they don't want to give more time to other people to get their, you know, views out there.
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe that's it.
All right. So they finally released the Zach Hammond dash cam footage.
Yes, they did. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Because it's like this happened like months ago. Do you remember when this happened?
I remember it happening. I can't remember the exact day.
Yeah, like it was a while ago, and
Yeah.
and the whole time they're saying the cops haven't released the footage, and the
Right.
whole time, you know, the family's complaining, release the footage, release the footage. Well, it's finally out, and you know everybody's in agreement. You know, the consensus from everybody I talked to.
I wouldn't say everybody, unfortunately.
Really, like who? Have
I
you-
mean,
have
there
you
are-
heard anybody like.
I mean,
come-
even when you posted it on PRL, there were people that were like, well, he shouldn't have been driving away. Well, he shouldn't have been, you know, buying pot illegally. You know, those idiots. Those people are out there, man.
Well, I mean,
I think there's more of a consensus, like a broader consensus in the favor of the correct way of looking at it this time, as opposed to like in other cases.
Yeah, Zachary Hammond was gunned down inevitably as the result of prohibition on a substance that's illegal.
Right.
That's legal in 5 states now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, yeah. I mean, it's pretty fucking.
But I mean,
insane.
even just watching the video, like, unless you're a complete bootlicker, you can't deny that this cop was just that is just straight murder.
Yeah, well, I mean, the cop was jumping in front of the car.
The cop was jumping in front of the car, and
if you have your windows up, because it happened so quick, you know. So if you're backing up, you know, because it doesn't really show, you know, you see the dash cam. Well, you don't really see how close the cop car is, and you know he's backing up.
Right.
If you have your windows up, you probably can't hear someone giving you like, you know, it's the cop was jumping out.
Well, yeah,
Like,
and
he was
also
like-
the cop, if I recall, he was in plain clothes, right?
I thought he had a uniform on, but I mean, yeah, you might kind of freak out. You
But
know?
yeah, if someone comes running up to your car with a gun,
yeah.
and like if you're in the process of like buying drugs, you might think it's like
he wasn't buying drugs. Somebody else was too.
what he was selling it.
He wasn't buying drugs. His passenger, his date, I think it was his first date, from if I recall correctly. She bought some pot from somebody.
Okay.
And, you know, she'd gotten into the car, and then the cops run up because, you know, they had a sting because, of course, they have nothing better to do, like catching, like, actual criminals, like murders, rapists, and robbers.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's
Well,
fucking
I'm
ridiculous,
just making
man.
the point that like if someone runs up to your car after you've maybe, you know, purchased drugs illegally or whatever, you might think, well, this person could be like like a gangster, you know what I mean? Like like a drug kingpin or something, or drug whatever those fucking guys are called, the enforcers coming up to like rob you. So you're like, get me the fuck out of here.
In this situation, what's the difference between a cop and a gangster?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
okay, so
I'm just saying in the kid's
like,
mind.
seriously, yeah, in the kid's mind or in my mind, you know? I mean, it's like, you know, I've smoked pot countless times before, you know?
Yeah.
And guess what? Nobody died, you know? So, but how many people did police kill? How
Right.
many people did police kill over marijuana?
I'm just speaking to the
And, you know, who is the real gangster here?
right. No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the boys in blue, he's got his gang colors on right there, you know? And when you talk about laws, whether even it's a seatbelt law, you know, you want to argue with somebody about seatbelt laws, we'll just point out to them, you know, if, I mean, does a seatbelt law, does somebody not wearing their seatbelt, you know, justify the use of violent force? You know, because guess what? That law is backed with a gun. If you get a seatbelt ticket and you don't pay it, eventually somebody's going to come for you with a gun. You know, if you keep resisting, you know, inevitably, and this whole chain of events is inspired by not wearing a seatbelt.
Right.
You know, that just seems fucking insane. You know, So any law like that is a bullshit law. Any law where it's not a real crime if there isn't a victim.
Yes.
So yeah, this Zachary Hammond shit, it's fucking insane. It's it is nice to see that the video was released and people are talking about it, and I've talked to a lot of people about it, and the consensus that I've heard is most people are pretty appalled. So some good is coming out of this in that, I think the more people get upset, the less likely the police are going to be able to get away with this next time.
And what about the fact that the kid was white too?
Of course there's going to be, some people or, that are racist out there, and, they're not going to care as much about a black kid as they are a white kid. And, it is kind of funny. I got to admit, all the websites that post about Zachary Hammond, they always use a picture of him when he was like 12 or something with like braces. And, he was 19 when this shit happened. Yeah. But, it shouldn't matter if he was like 99 years old. The shit happened over pot. The cops jumping in front of the car, It's just ridiculous, man. It's just prohibition, causing more problems than it helps. I mean, how does it help? What's the worst thing that can happen when you're smoking weed? You eat too many Cheetos? Is this what we're protecting society from?
Well, even drugs that are actually harmful to you, they're only harmful to you. They're not harmful to anybody else.
Exactly.
At least not in a direct physical sense. I mean, yeah, you could say, it makes me sad when you inject heroin, Alex. But
yeah,
but yeah.
I thought Alex only liked hot beef injections.
Exactly.
I think he's crossing over. But yeah. No, yeah, that video was just super fucked up to watch. Anybody else got anything more on that?
No.
That's about it.
Nope.
Speaking of more fucked up police videos.
But ching.
Yeah.
You want to talk about this one?
Well, do we have it up on the site now? I don't think it's up on the site. We were talking about it earlier. And again, you have people defending. You still have people that are defending what this officer did. Well, apparently
this one was more, I think, split. But
yeah,
go into this.
Even still, because they posted the video originally, the students in the class, but I guess this female student was disruptive in the class. Didn't want to put away her cell phone, was disrespecting the teacher, refused to leave. So they bring in the police resource advisor, who apparently is a deputy. This happened in South Carolina as well, in Charleston. And basically, the video that was first posted that went viral, basically the officer came in, asked her to stand up and get out of her chair, and he basically, within a couple of seconds, just grabbed the entire desk, slammed her to the ground, and then slid the desk, basically trying to get her out from under the desk. And then of course, you can't see from that point, but he's obviously has her pinned to the ground and trying to attempt to cuff her. But then other videos came out where she was disrespectful, cussing towards the teacher, refused to put her cell phone away. So you have cop apologists saying, well, She
was just being a little bitch.
Yeah, exactly. She deserved that. And it's just ridiculous what happened. This cop was fired once the video. He was fired. And who knows? I don't know what's.
I mean, it's not to say that there wouldn't come a time when you'd have to use some element of force in that situation, but it seems like this was a little excessive.
Oh yeah, definitely. In fact, that it's pretty sad when you have to have a police officer full time at a school, but that just goes to show you the failure of the state and failure of state-run
that's
education.
Sort of like the broader issue,
right? If everybody's getting all upset, it's like, wait a minute, and then come to find out, well, this girl was she's apparently an orphan, So I don't know what her, custody situation or what. Because, like just we were talking earlier, like, and you get trouble in school or whatever, first thing your teacher would be like, do I need to call your parents? So so obviously there's bigger, broader issues than
that's one thing that like totally pisses me off. Like, I don't know, I mean, have you guys known many kids that were adopted or like orphans?
I've known some. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've known some, and then I've got to say, going into adulthood even, these people have like serious issues a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's and one thing that really pisses me off is how hard it is to adopt. Like, because I know people who've like really serious about adopting, and they've tried a bunch, and it's for one, it's so expensive. For two, like I know I've known people that have gotten like didn't get approved for one reason or another, and it's just like, what the fuck, any two dumbasses can bump uglies and fuck,
Right.
But you're gonna make it so hard to adopt, and then you're gonna make it cost a bunch of money. Where it's like,
right.
If this person takes this child, that's less child that everybody else has to pay for. I mean, this person's doing society a favor.
Right.
And, this person's going to give that child much needed love so they don't grow up and be, like, totally fucked up.
Right.
It just seems insane to me how hard it is to adopt. It's totally insane. I don't know. It just really pisses me the fuck off, dude. I think... honestly, man, I think just more people should be angry about this because I mean it's like with anything else, man. It's the state will only get away with what we let them.
Yeah.
And we put up with this, and it's not good for these kids, and in turn, it's not good for society.
There's also kind of, I don't know if stigma is the right word, but I think there's something a little off-putting to people about adopting, which I think is like kind of absurd. I mean, there are, I don't know any of the figures, but I know there's a shitload of kids, even just in America, that are in need of adoption, let alone like the rest of the world. Yet people are just like fucking constantly just popping out new shitheads every day. You know what I mean? Like, it's like let's focus on the people that already exist and maybe take care of them. But it seems like there's like this egotistical aspect of it where like people want their kid to look like them and have their genetics and all that. But I mean, I was talking to a kid that
I think that's kind of selfish, personally.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was talking to a friend of mine who is adopted.
Like, personally, I would rather adopt than than have my own child. And I'll tell you why. Because I mean, it just seems like there's so many kids that are already here that need help and love.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the sense in just bringing it? Just help one of the ones that's already here.
Exactly.
But I'll tell you why I'll probably end up having a child instead, is because adoption is such a fucking pain in the ass, and it's so expensive. I mean, it's like really fucking expensive from what I've heard. Why should it be expensive? You're taking a child out of the state's hands, hence saving everybody else money. Why should it be expensive to you?
Right.
Any more expensive than you're gonna already have to pay to take care of this kid?
Right.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah, that's retarded.
Did you guys ever watch Bill Burr when he talked about adoption, like in his hypothetical, like his
probably?
It was great. It was brilliant. Like he was talking about that, like, and he's just like, yeah, I'd go back to China and adopt a kid in some sweatshop who made this shirt for me, And he's just like, regardless of, he's like, I'll take that kid out of that situation. They're gonna grow up to be much better kid because that kid's gonna be in such a better position, like, a better circumstance.
Yeah.
So he's like, that kid will do anything for you. Like, and then he's just like, yeah. And then he's like, so I'm thinking about doing that, maybe like an 8 or 9 year old kid. And then I'm thinking maybe like a 14, 15-year-old child soldier, like, adopt him from some country, just have him out front, like guarding the house. He's got like, this kid already knows how to shoot an AK. Like, it was kind of fucked up. Like, he's like, regardless, you're taking these kids, adopting them, and bringing them into a much better situation. But now, just like you said, Matt, the state, they make it so much harder to do the right thing. So, but anyway, yeah, so that's the situation. More to come probably, but on that resource advisor cop, he was he was fired.
Did you see that rant?
Yeah, I mean,
by that?
I also want to say too.
Oh,
and,
that
you know,
rant on that guy was brilliant.
I also want to say too, man. Like everybody says, well, imagine if we didn't have this social safety net. You know, well, imagine back to say like 100, 200 years ago. You know, do you think if you're like living out in the Wild West and like a kid shows up on your doorstep, I mean, what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna leave him out in the cold?
Nope.
No, I think you're gonna just man up and help him out. I think that's what most people would do.
Yeah.
And you know, if the first person wouldn't, I think it wouldn't be long before they find somebody that would.
So wait, you're saying like there shouldn't be any sort of centralized?
I'm saying, you know, we could do a better job without them, just like with every fucking thing else.
Right.
But I mean,
I think you could have like a private agency that handles adoption. There's no reason you can't.
Like of course you could, you know, but you know, I mean,
I don't think you have to just let kids wander the streets. I'm just saying
the state makes it so hard.
Right.
You
know. So P.Diddy's in the news.
Oh, nice. Is that what he calls himself nowadays?
P vote or die Diddy is has turned a new leaf.
Yeah.
And it's now saying that voting is a scam.
Yeah. Yeah, so P. Diddy grows up.
See, he agrees with me.
Yeah.
It's funny though because that whole vote or die thing. When did that come out? Wasn't that like was that like when Bush was running? Like the second Bush?
Probably. Yeah.
And
it was like probably all stemmed from, you know, rock the vote. You know, MTV used to do that whole campaign.
Because it's a whole thing to just encourage like more. It's basically to
young
encourage
voters.
like more youth to vote, like more kids to vote, and
yeah. Well, I mean,
it benefits the Democratic Party.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just like a sham. That all that stuff is just a sham for the fucking Democratic Party.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, but it's funny that. I mean, is he authentic in what he's saying here? I don't know. I mean, you brought it up. Maybe he's just trying to get back in the
game.
The headlines. Yeah. Although, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he's
got a lot of shit going on.
You know, I mean, I think Obama hopefully has woken some people up. You know, because like
Obama.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, yeah. Here's how Obama could have woken some people up, because you know, in 2008, you know, he said a lot of things, and he ran as the peace candidate. And he broke other promises too. You know, he said he wasn't going to raid marijuana shops in states where it was legal. And then of course that didn't last. You know, so you know, and Obama was basically, he was worshipped like a god. You know, I can remember, you know, in 2008, I can remember seeing Obama stores in the mall.
Dude, but here's
the Obama shop.
But to go off of that for a brief second, like, how do people not see the similarity between that whole fervor?
Did you say and similarity?
Similarity.
Oh,
sorry, dude, I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep.
I'm just fucking with you, dude.
The similarity between Obama and fucking my brain just shut off.
The burn?
The burn, yeah.
The burn?
Like, how do people, like, when you bring up, like, oh, do you remember when in fucking 2008 people were just losing their shit over Obama like he was the goddamn savior? And how are they not doing that same exact shit for the burn master? And then people will draw up all these, like, different distinctions, and, like, it's all just fucking semantics as far as I'm concerned. It's all just, like, different rhetoric. I mean, yeah, maybe, you know, Bernie has a little bit more authenticity because he's not taking large donations and all that, whereas Obama was doing that. But the whole feeling behind it to me is like almost identical.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. You know,
I mean, it's even more of a fervor because you have, like, the internet is like a different place than it was. The internet is a different place than it was in 2008. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like kind of a couple conversations about recently with people that are individuals that were all about Bernie, and it's like, oh God, and then you start like, but it.
Question: do you know any like libertarians or people who identified as libertarians in the past, or who are about Bernie or not?
I haven't stumbled across any, but just I mean, living in Baltimore, of course, you know, liberal, left leaning, so there's a lot of younger people that are all about Bernie, and it's just like, I don't know, I just don't get it because I get it, but
I mean, it's not hard
once
to
you
get.
start,
it's just
Yeah.
It's a very to me it's just very surface. It's very like.
Well, once you start talking to them, once I start asking them questions, and I'm like, all right, so, okay, yeah, let's talk wages, but he takes it so far, but he doesn't take it far enough. And in conversations, it's like, well, what's responsible for stagnant wages or, the decrease of the value of the dollar, the Federal Reserve.
Right, that's right.
And then he didn't, in 2012, basically gutted the audit the Fed bill in the Senate.
That was actually 2010, Alex.
No, what? No, it was 2012. It was Ron's last run.
2012. 2010, dude.
I think it was, no, because 2012.
Well, agree to disagree.
Anyways, I want to say it was 2012 because that was that's when it passed the House, and that was when Ron Paul was running in 2012. But anyways,
whatever it is.
Regardless, it's just like, and then, yeah, okay, yeah, the corporations are out of control, but what enables the corporations to be out of control?
Like Bernie will come out with a statement like, nobody working 40 hours a week should make less than $10 an hour or something like that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's not that I disagree with that in the sense that I would like to see everybody working 40 hours a week making that wage. But number one, I mean, just saying that, you're not saying anything. Yeah. Fine. And I think everyone should, It
was 2010. I just looked it up, dude.
Are you
sure?
Shit.
Oh, shit. Dropping
shit.
those truth bombs.
Feel that burn.
Oh.
Shit, what was I saying? Bernie, what was I saying?
About wages. 10 hours,
Right.
40 hours a week.
Yeah, yes, no one's gonna say like, oh, no, everyone should just not, be poor and impoverished. Like, no one's gonna say that. So it's very easy to grab onto that. But he's not offering. The solution isn't there. The actual cause of the problem isn't being addressed.
Right.
It's just, we'll apply force in this area to artificially bring up these wages instead of working, or at least admitting what the real problems are, which are, the things we've talked about.
Exactly. Where I don't know. It's and you figure all those years, and yeah, he was an ally with Ron Paul in the House on a lot of issues that they could agree upon. But you figure at some point he'd get it. He would connect all the dots here. Or anybody that would be hard, supports him hardcore once you talk to him. But it's they can't connect the dots. But it's just well, he's the most principled running, and I got to vote. It's I don't know. I'm just kind of giving up on the whole left-right. I don't know. Trying to reason with people that are still stuck in the left-right paradigm or don't want to even think. Think
outside the box.
Yeah, think beyond
beyond the cage.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, personally, I don't know. I can see how it does get frustrating, but I'd say, you don't want to give up because I mean, I don't think we all were born here. I think we all came from different places and we found our way here. Probably from talking to people and.
True.
So,
and the best thing you can do is just
give up.
I mean,
the best thing you can do is talk to people and just not be a dick about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to hear about your great ideas.
I've been getting kind of pissed off at a lot of the stuff going around lately. More specifically, these memes that go around that are the basic theme of them is you care about these things when you should be caring about this thing. You know what I'm talking about? Did you see the one and it had a Walking Dead spoiler on it?
Oh, okay.
And it was I don't want to even talk about it because I don't want to fuck people up.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, but that shit annoys me though. It's look, okay, who is this catering towards? This is only catering towards people that
already care about that thing.
That already care about that thing.
I mean,
and
everybody else is just an insult.
Right. Everyone else is now you're demeaning that I care about. Yeah, and I mean, look.
Well, I mean, for me though, except for memes that raggle in sports, I mean, I think that's cool.
I disagree with you.
I'm just fucking with you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Shit like that. It's look. I mean, I care about a lot of things. I care about The Walking Dead, and I care about the NSA. You know what I mean? it's possible to, what do they say, chew gum and walk at the same
time.
Yeah, I mean, and I know we have like, I remember one of our first like most popular articles on PRL was one. It was like something about like, I don't care about gay marriage because of dead babies or something like that.
No, it's what is it?
It was like, oh, dead babies are more important than gay marriage.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it was written by like a gay person. They were saying how the fact that Obama's, killing children is more important than gay marriage, which, I mean...
No, I think that is totally true. I mean, I think murder is the most important of all things.
Yeah.
And, I mean, but at the same time, other issues are important,
Right.
Of course, marriage discrimination or, the state monopolizing marriage and, making up their rules that everybody has to abide by. Yeah, I mean, that's totally fucked up. But, yeah, I mean, for me, murder is a trump card, dude. I think that is like the most important thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Like, people rag on us on PRL a lot for talking about like drug prohibition so much, and drug prohibition. How much murder is taking place because of drug prohibition.
Yeah.
How many people are thrown in rape cages because of drug prohibition.
Exactly.
Speaking of rape cages, there was that judge recently in South Carolina that
no, it was Albuquerque.
New Mexico.
I'm sorry. Okay, I got it mixed up. Okay, so yeah, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and she gave this dude I think it was like 5 years of probation. He was like 18, and I forget. Do you remember the crime he committed?
I don't remember now.
Yeah, but at any rate, she admitted that she said in prison you're going to be someone's bitch and get raped every night. I think the fucked up thing about this is just that the fact that our prison system where that goes on,
Right.
It's just really messed up. How is this rehabilitation? How is that going to rehabilitate?
I mean, essentially,
somebody?
like prison rape is like a joke now. You know what I mean? Like it's like something they'll throw into like a Family Guy episode. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it can be funny in a context, but in reality, the fact that it even exists, I mean, it shouldn't exist. Like, that's not what a prison system should be designed to do, in my opinion.
I mean, when it comes to prison rape, I mean, honestly, the only people that I'm not going to have sympathy for are people who raped other people. Yeah. If you're in there for being raped, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to shed a tear for you.
Right. But we still shouldn't encourage it.
No, yeah, of course. I mean, you shouldn't encourage rape, but yeah.
Yeah.
So what did we learn tonight?
Yeah, let's talk about what we learned.
What are the
tonight.
takeaways from tonight's podcast?
Yeah, what are the takeaways?
Well, I think that's all the topics we have, unless you want to
No,
talk about some other shit.
Yeah, I think that's it. Until next time, live free.
Statism's footprint is the blood that is shed, drenching the flags on the tax bombs in red. Poisoned by a few at the expense of the many, sold to the gods in a death machine. You can't justify killing by economic gain. For God, country, and democracy, you can put freedom in gunpoint in a foreign land. You support the troops, then bring them home. I believe that you will do the best for you. And I believe that we have the power, I hate the state, and I know I'm a slave. We can make the break the power. Society owes individuals nothing more than non-interference with natural rights. Once a virtuous person fully comprehends the non-aggression principle, the violence of the state becomes obsolete.